This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, yo, it is 6 p.m. You're at the Porterford Parks Commission meeting on this Thursday, February 6th, 2025. This meeting is called to order. And please rise while we do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, thank you all. And we're going to move into item 2, which is additions to the agenda. And early on, because I know a couple of you are here specifically for parks, so we're going to the playground. So we're going to do playground right early. We'll do that as a 5. We'll go on 5.
I think
There's 2 right there. And if you guys want agendas, there's agendas right over here too. So.
And would you pass me one, please?
Oh.
Oh, here comes Joseph with some spares.
Oh, sweet. Thank you, Joseph. So we'll do, we're going to fill in the park host item 6 with playground.
Oh, nice.
And I think the majority of our early time will be dedicated to playground. So.
Sorry, Brian. Give me just.
Oh, no, we got
my paperwork in order here.
Here's.
Minutes, yeah.
Did anybody need an agenda? Because I have an extra. Did you get? Do you need?
I'll go make some more copies.
She might have an extra copy right in
financials.
front.
Nice work.
Just the agenda?
What do you want? You want just the agenda? You want financials? What do you want? Everything?
All right, I'll go make a couple copies real quick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as far as item 2 additions to the agenda, we are doing, there's replacing 6 Buffington Park host with the discussion of the playground. And then Jen Bailey, who is virtual, and do we have any other attendees virtually?
Nope, just Jen.
Just Jen. She's going to be in item 9A, which is under old business. And is that Jen, is that in regard to Jubilee, did you say?
Yes, the Porterford Jubilee.
Perfect.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Okay, and any other commissioners opening up any other additions to the agenda?
Wanted to ask Brian,
Yeah.
I had hoped to come and just talk to you guys just a little bit generally about city
Oh.
Parks Commission
Yes.
connection, but
Yep.
I also know you asked me to serve on the commission to know if you want to add that in or if you want public comment, how you would want to.
I think this is great, and we'll assume in the wake or absence of a liaison, mayor can serve in that capacity. By the way, I did not mention, I apologize, in our presence is Commissioner Izmita, Commissioner Kasarik, myself, Commissioner Thompson, and like I said, we'll go with 4, barring any other input that I don't know about, but there's our liaison. So let's do that report. Can we do that? Let's do a 6A as playground and 6B as a city update. Is that kosher? And then that way you guys okay, are free to go. So city update. Item 3, financials. I don't know that, or commissioners, have you had enough time to review all these? Honestly, we're a little starstruck because this is the first time we've been able to lay eyes on financials in probably
a while.
So a while, yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, so a while. If we need more time to approve or whatever.
So I think we could approve them and we could have a discussion later if we wanted to about the things in the financials, but having not had the information, I might have to assume that the information in front of us has been vetted.
Yeah, we could go either way, because frankly, we need some explanation of exactly what we're looking at, which, and I don't know if that's on.
What I can tell you is that one of the really great and exciting things that we've done is we've hired a new finance consultant who's like our finance director. And I don't, it sounds like you guys, like me, I've served on the budget committee for numerous years. This is so hard to understand. It's like
Thank you.
cannot understand if a plus means a minus or a minus means a plus or any of that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
And with this commission in particular, there's been questions about what happened to money, where'd it go, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I'm super excited about this person to try to make things easier for everyone to understand in terms of accounting. I'm looking for, that's going to be in progress over the course of this year. But in terms of the specifics of this, I think we've gotten, as you've got, this is the end of November, is as far as we've gotten. And I'd have to drill into it more specifically. If you guys have specific questions you want, maybe that would be a useful thing to talk to me or Melissa about. One of the things that's really weird that I've learned about, and you guys probably know this about the parks budget, is that even though it's called the Parks Fund, it gets money in from TLT. And for that reason, the city has to use it for lots of other things, like some law enforcement was in here and some like public works. And that's kind of how all the funds work. The law enforcement fund also has, it's the way that our budget is put together. It's just very confusing. And so it makes it hard to understand, like you'd think, oh, you've got all this money. Well, but we need to have some of that money for like our public works staff that's in here. It's not like it's just all, so anyway, it's confusing.
So, I mean, having these in front of us, I don't see anything here that leads at me as being, astronomically a little overspent on small tools and minor equipment, but so that could just be as simple as or something that wasn't budgeted for. I'm inclined to approve these, seeing that they go through November and hoping to get them in clearer format moving forward.
Okay, that's a motion.
Sure, I'll move.
Do we have a second for that motion?
A second.
Okay, any discussion? And all in favor of approving said minutes as stated, please signify by saying aye.
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 And with that, no, or do we just say that the three of us voted and
I mean,
therefore?
I think because of I just looked at your bylaws before I came.
Uh-huh.
To have a quorum, you need to have 4 is in your bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
And so since you only have 3 tonight,
Oh,
I mean,
are you not
I mean,
on the meeting?
I would say that I should probably, before voting, appoint myself to be a temporary liaison for this meeting. And that's a little bit weird, but since I don't think anything is super consequential, I think that that's okay.
Okay.
I don't know 100%, but
said it's okay. Can we do that? Or are you saying that or are you saying that at city council you need to do that, or you could do that now here?
if there's nothing that's hugely consequential,
Right.
I think it's not going to be that big of a deal.
Okay.
But if there is something hugely consequential, then you should wait and do it at a time that,
The most review application to Carol to join the commission, and we would then, I think, make that recommendation to city council to approve. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. If that exceeds the scope of what you're comfortable with, we can wrap the meeting and say we don't have a quorum.
I think that's okay. Just to let's move it forward. I will just state though that I am tonight serving as the liaison and 4th member to create a quorum
Perfect.
for this circumstance.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. And so given that that is, I guess we have 3 voting to accept these financials.
And I added my vote also.
You did, okay. With that, do we have last meeting minutes?
We do it right here.
We do?
Oh.
I didn't get those.
Sorry, Joseph brought him into you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, here's an extra copy. Maybe you.
Oh,
can-
yeah, I was thinking that was our current one.
Wait, these are from May.
These are from May last year.
Okay, so we're just gonna go with we don't have no minutes, okay?
Okay.
That makes it easy. Citizens' concerns, the time to talk, if you want to keep it to just that playground in a hot second, but if you had anything else that you, please come. It's the first and last name, address, and then you have 3 minutes on non-agenda items, so. Not yet, huh? Did you hear?
I can hear him, but I'm sitting 10 feet away.
It looks like you can kind of hear a resonance if you get close. It should have been on. Yeah.
I
Try it
think
again.
I think it's on.
So my name is Jared Rush. My address is 528 9th Street, Portland, Oregon. I am probably in the park more than a lot of people in town. I'm in there nearly every day. I know Sierra's there probably more than I am.
I'm wise, maybe.
But yeah, so I do at least one walkabout a day usually while I play all kind of stuff. And I have friends and stuff that play with me. We pick up trash and all sorts of other things. I want to get more involved here. I want to try and make our park better. I've been to a lot of parks in the area, playing disc golf and other places, and it's really nice to be able to take my daughter to some of these other parks, like Bend, Buffington, down to Gold Beach, and that kind of stuff. And she plays all these great playgrounds, like you guys talked about, and I play disc golf. So in disc golf, we have a saying that we want to grow the sport, and growing the sport also involves growing. So those two kind of and everything else, we want to make it inviting to everybody. So I came with a list of questions here that I'd like to hand out to you guys if you guys are willing to accept them. Back to me at your leisure. I've put my email address on here. That way we can open communication. And I just would like to do what I can to improve. Nobody officially. To Thailand, and I was like, well, I'm going to do my best. So here I am. I'm making my effort.
Cool.
Cool.
So
very good.
The things that I want to know is just process and procedure, so that we're doing what we can, and we're keeping the park safe because there are we have trees that are and we have what we like to call widow makers, which are branches that are hanging at any time. So we just want to know how we can clean that stuff up, how we can help. I have volunteers, I have people with trucks. And I can get people mobilized pretty quickly. The last thing that I really want to talk about is the back 9. I know Greg talked about pushing back into that back nature trail area. We've already got some ideas. I work with Aiden Lashway and Ryan Durkin, who are both people that disc golf discers is what we like to call ourselves.
Okay.
They play just as much as I do. Sometimes Ryan plays more because he has more free time. But we all have the same vision, which is just making it better and improving the flow. Our biggest thing is we want to leave the nature trail as a nature trail. We want to improve the nature trail and make it so that we can play back. So safe to walk as a nature trail. One thing that we like to model after is Ferry Park in North Bend. They have a very beautiful nature trail to walk, and it coexists perfectly fine with the disc golf course. So we've been looking at things that we can do. That kind of stuff. As you guys talked about your financials tonight, made me a little nervous. Now budget to start this, and we don't know if there's $5,000 in the budget to start.
Yeah.
So
welcome to the club.
Yeah. So again, that's not worrisome. I do have other avenues of money.
Okay.
So And I do have other things. Like I said, I don't just come saying, I want you guys to fund it all. I've come with a plan and I've come with people that are willing to work. We just need permission.
Okay.
So, with that, I have, like I said, I have these questions, and like I said, you guys can just get back to me on your time.
We would love to see your questions. And I have a question for you. Are you at all interested in serving on the Parks Commission?
Yeah.
You seem like
Right?
exactly keeping us decisions.
There you go.
Yes, I've been told a lot to join parks. I also know how the city works. I've lived here a long time. So sometimes getting involved ties your hands a little.
And you might,
Yeah.
So I kind of want to feel this out for a month or two, see how we're going. I'll definitely be coming to the meetings.
great.
But that is definitely a possibility if I see that it's not going to tie my hands and I'll still be able to do what I need to do. Because if I need to pivot and use of nonprofit organizations and other things that I have access to, then I'll need to do that. So I am very much a chess player. And that's how politics works. And I've worked in the public for the school district for the last 11 years, so I really know how this game works. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, please, we would welcome those questions and look forward to digging into our next discussion here in a second. Site, any 3 minutes for
Thank you.
agenda things, and so it's first, last name, and address.
I'm Angela, 5 Mayfair Drive, Fort Worth. I'm the owner of Kindred Prairie Preschool, and I'm highly involved in, we've started this year early learning collaborative meetings, and I've been talking with Brian. We had mentioned kind of what happened with the playground situation, and we had kind of brought it up. Our meeting, our people, and we feel that we would like to help kind of nudge that project and remotivate it, and kind of along with what Jared was saying, kind of seeing overall, not just the playground, but the entire park system, how there are people that want to see improvements, and it seems like issues and that resources that we could look into. This specific group of people are really great grant writers, and they're really, really well connected with local philanthropies and have a really good understanding of what different philanthropies would be willing to help support a project like the park. And we know that a lot of people have already put in a lot of playground specifically, and with overseeing what we want to happen with the parks, and it's kind of hit a roadblock, and maybe a lot of people are burnt out. And we would like to our assistance in any way with grant writing, with making connections, with talking to philanthropies, and working in making this happen. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here tonight, and we'll dig right into our playground, which I know we're pining to do. So with that, anybody want to speak as a citizen, by the way, before we move on? Given that, we're going to item 6A, which is our playground discussion. And Ann, I'm so glad you're able to be here tonight, and thank you, Angie and Jared, for attending. Really just wanted to review and look, discuss how we can collaborate in next steps, and hopefully we can get some tangible things. Start off with, and Ann, just so you know, I would say deflated is I heard the term outside, and when we're working with approximately $30,000 that I know Ciaran, who's not here tonight, myself, everybody was involved with fundraising. Those are all personal donations, etc. And then the city had done a budget to match, or not to match, but basically it was going to be $163,000. That was a couple years ago. A month or two later, and so it's been a roller coaster. It's been brutal. I'm grateful that we're still here because it's been really tough. But given that, I see, new energy, new excitement, and so hopefully tonight we can hash out some details towards a plan. And Sierra brought what the kids in the school put together, just something as visual and she can describe, but we're looking for open discussion, and so with that, that's what this time right now is. But
Well, may I add to that, Brian? So they had approved a budget.
Yeah.
They had a design all picked out.
Oh, yeah.
Approved through city council. Literally ready to offer, to put out bids, right? That was the stage that we were at, was literally put out bids on
We had
online.
gone past that. It was
Yeah.
a matter of give the okay.
Right.
And that's where after vetting
put out bids,
contractors, yes.
And that's when it was shut down. So that was literally the level of like momentum that was felt just to be shut down. So, that really takes the wind out of people's sails after years and years of putting in all this hard work, feeling like we've reached the finish line. Oh no, we've got 5 miles ahead of us to go,
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add to that was how dramatic of a letdown that was.
Right.
For the commission to feel like, okay, great, maybe we can check something on this endless list that keeps piling up. Nope, we got to add, a bunch more things to the list to make it happen.
Right.
And when that continues to take place, it's really easy to start being like, okay, well, all that work, what did it go towards?
And to add to that, we were told, because we're to come up with our top 10, right?
Mm.
And right before we were to do our top 10, we were told by our liaison that city council had already determined for a roof regarding visitor center and a roof regarding a building, a concession stand that I don't even know that
Maybe it
it's
was the
used,
restroom or something.
but
I don't think it's-
something, and that's all the money. So now we're like, oh, okay, well, why are we here? Like, what is the point of this?
Yeah.
Given that, playground I know is very important. It is shambles. You go one.
I was like, let's make baby steps. I had presented this model with it. We became not investing in so much big metal and plastic equipment. Let's go nature-based playground style where we're using natural materials. Build a hill. Kids love a hill. Put love, using wood, earth, using natural materials, a bunch of money that we can source locally, that people could even donate, and just kind of sculpting the land more so, and utilizing our local resources that maybe work within this little budget that we have, so that we don't feel like we have to raise all this other money. And because another part of the whole inflation really kicked in. So because there was a delay, now the original design cost
20%.
another 20% more than what the original plan had looked at. So we got a little bit of fire under our butt about it. I said, please approve a little bit of money for us to at least update the swings. Baby steps. We had one swing that was broke when a kid was swinging on it. Luckily, no one got hurt. Another swing is in the same state of dilapidation. And the baby swing, we had plans of replacing it with a baby swing that has the parent seat sitting there so they could be looking at their baby swinging with them. I'm like, great, low-hanging fruit, let's do it. We approved $1,000. I met with Melissa. We talked it out to get new hardware, because our plan is to keep update the hardware, update the swings, right? Easy. Went to Public Works, and that was it. Like nothing's happened. Nothing, no progress has been made. And so, that's the kind of thing that we're up against, is like, we're here volunteering our time, doing the legwork, passing the money, following up with city council, passing on to city administration and city public works, and then the follow through doesn't happen with really simple things like that, right? And so that's kind of, it becomes frustrating as a volunteer. It's like, I repeat myself to children 5 but that's kind of where I've really liked would to come from, is how can we make baby steps, and how can we as volunteers have the support of follow through in making those baby steps happen, so that we don't have to continue to come back and have the same conversations.
So do you want, I mean, I kind of feel like there's a lot of, maybe it would be helpful to have some conversation about background and all these experiences you've been through. And then also to talk about what is the status of the project moving forward, and what are the ideas for moving
I think that's what
forward.
we're really,
So-
that's the gist of what we're trying to establish tonight, is how can we just a vision of how Angie, the fact that there is $30,000 in monies. Go.
What I would suggest is, we don't feel like there's any reason, we know there are a few, like the Ford Family Foundation, there's the Roundhouse Foundation, there's a lot of really big philanthropies that showing that we've already fundraised and we've already put in the groundwork of $30,000 is huge. And just showing the state of our playground, and that a lot of us have like personal connections to some of these philanthropies, I think would be really helpful. Another thing that I think would be really cool is to consult with, there are engineers that could help consult with a full layout plan of not even just the playground, but of the park that can go with that design. There are some really awesome, and that might have good connections to how to just landscape it so that it's more usable, and that is kind of a big park thing right now, to have these natural parks with hills and the natural climbing logs. And
I was at a beautiful one. I had a friend up in Portland and showed me to one, and it was so cool. And the kids were just, like having so much fun.
it fits with our landscape, and it fits with what, I think the majority of us would like out here. And especially with going away from things like the rubber and the,
Plastic.
having the natural cork and the non-toxic playground equipment. They would be the ones to show us like what all of those things are and what the different price ranges are. Like, we could work with a company. I think that would be a really good first step, and we can even start that conversation with philanthropies. Just start a conversation with them to say, what would you like for us to show? Would you like for us to just show that we've raised this much money? Would you like for us to specific design and break down a budget?
So can I just to go back, do you guys want to have a conversation about what happened with the city, or do you want to just like not talk about that and just talk about what's going on?
Well, I knew there was that budget stuff happened, and it was like,
I'm forward focused. I'm a
Yeah.
water under the bridge guy. But
Okay.
if we need
if you think it's,
to rehash it for,
yeah, we just knew it came to a stop. I mean, we're not.
I mean, I guess I just want to, you use the word brutal, and I would just say there's brutality at many levels, or
Yeah.
that it's kind of brutal it has been brutal at the larger city
Right.
situation to understand, to be kind of flying blind about how much money we had or didn't have. And owing to, as my shorthand of it, I'll just give you the 3 seconds, just because I
Sure.
want you to feel
Sure.
like it's not like, somehow everybody was like, oh, that damn Parks Commission. It's just like,
Right.
it's more like the Maslow's pyramid of what we with, and it's like water and sewer first and
Right.
public safety. And then even though I say this all this time, all these cool things I would like to do, we kind of have a hard time getting to because we're just so occupied dealing with the basics, which is
Sure.
frustrating. But anyway, that's kind of
Yeah.
where it came from, just so you guys know that thing where you were very close on. I think at the last minute we realized, oh my gosh, we have to hire a new person. We don't even know if we have money to pay them, and we don't even know because we don't have a finance person and we don't have a lawyer and we don't have anybody but like me and Pat, and
Mhm.
we can't just put this money at the door at this moment. So anyway, kind of like it's sort
Okay.
of more like crisis management.
Right.
And
Right.
I think I'm actually feeling really excited because I think we're getting back on track finally, and we're
Mhm.
trying to get our act together at a much higher level.
Nice.
And I'm sorry that you had the frustration, because I thought you were going to say, and I talked to Melissa and she helped to work it out. But we still are having problems. And I think part of the problem is we've got really old pipes. Our city staff is always working on having to solve that as the first. And secondly, we are a really small town. So if anybody has moved here from somewhere else where you kind of expect that things happen, here we have such a small staff. It's hard. So that's why you guys in this committee are so important. It's incredibly important that you guys are involved. And I think we just have to clarify some of the roles, some of the questions you've brought up in your list of questions. I've been trying to figure out, what is the chain of command in parks? Are you guys supposed to go out and take care of things, or is it public works? Or
Right.
for years, I've not
Fine.
really been able to get as clear of an answer to that, honestly, talking to the former liaison and stuff. So I think there's some work out that will make everybody's, I don't know what the answers are yet, but I think having the conversation will help us.
Always.
And so moving forward, one of the things that came up at that time when we were about to spend the money, and we thought, is that we have been trying to exercise our muscle to get grants. And we realized that you can have a little bit of money as match and then get a grant. That makes much more sense for our city than to actually just try to spend all our money, to leverage it. And we've been doing that with water. We're doing that with the community building renovation. And it made sense to us to say, let's do that with this playground, because there are two kinds of grants. You have, Angela has mentioned this private philanthropy grants. There's a number of private philanthropists even more close that we could go to. And there's also this great state grant right now that I know, I'm pretty sure Greg was talking to you guys about that.
A lottery grant?
Yes, that just opened up.
Is that the one that
That
Melissa just sent? And I could be happy to forward some of that information.
Melissa
so-
sent one about Lowe's.
Well, and then that one just came up today. There was
One
another
just came
one.
through today.
Oh.
Well,
So,
there's
sorry.
one, Lowe's is a private philanthropy one.
Yeah.
There's so many grants that would be appropriate for this. So I think the order of affairs is to get clear on what you want. And at that point, it may be that if you know what you want, in the past, my understanding of it was a big plastic kind of playground. There were the people were going to come and install it. And I think another problem at the end there was some sense that the site preparation wasn't planned for sufficiently. And now we also have tribal consultation that probably has to happen on our city, publicly owned lands. So we have to, one of the things I wanted to tell you on my part is from the commission side is we need to work better together. We need your help to do the groundwork of figuring out, well, what do you want to have? What's the best process? If we want to get this, if we wanted to go for the state parks grant, the deadline's April 1st or something. And next week there's a webinar about how you apply for that grant. Or we may say, we have enough connections with private therapy, let's with a private grant because there's less reporting requirements and less because one of the we have to do as a city is if we've got too many grants, it's a huge, we can't handle just do like one a year to prioritize one because
The administration is a lot.
the administration is a lot and we may have too much, so but if you guys, I think the process is if you guys could get together and think, what do you want? Do you have enough knowledge right now to put forward that project? Like if it's just hiring somebody to do it, that's one thing. Your process, maybe you get a grant to have somebody design it first. And you go and you have like what the people did for the community building. They got a $5,000 grant. They hired the architect to do the plan. Then they came back and then they were like ready to go for the bigger grant. So
That's what I was kind of like saying, like there's different options.
yes.
And not just, if we didn't just want, if we wanted to do the playground like right away. A whole park thing with like, let that be one big project.
Yeah.
And then when you go to philanthropists, then even if it's just asking for the playground, we can show that that's just a piece of the pie.
Yeah, right.
Which is another, so with the Port Orford Early Learning Collaborative, we have many, like Skyler Scully has already offered to help with the grant writing, and Carol Hattrell, who's also on the school board,
Yeah.
is really good with like the budgeting
Yeah.
aspect of things. And I think like what you had mentioned, and really looking at what are those barriers moving forward, different consults to do, and can this move forward with the city? Another option that we could propose is I'm actually erecting a nonprofit for youth in Port Orford, and hoping to get non-exempt status within the next year. So if we need another fiscal sponsor in a year or two, it could be a potential other.
The grants, like I believe that Lowe's grant is through a nonprofit and the state grant has to be through a city. So
Yeah.
there's opportunities in that way too. And what you're saying is a really cool idea. Like I'll just mention that state grant has also like a $50,000 planning grant, same deadline. So if you guys decided that you wanted to tier it and do the planning grant first, and then ultimately administered through Business Oregon.
Business Oregon.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. If it's the same people dealing with it, I can kind of help.
Yeah, but you understand there's a lot of
There's a lot of steps.
a lot of steps sometimes with state grants, whereas with the others there are fewer. But so what I think what we would need to do to work together is to come up with your plan. Is it just the playground? Is it the tiny steps? And that's a different, that's also a really good way to do it, Sierra. But it's also possible, as you say, to envision something bigger. And the thing, if we're going to do the bigger one, like the lottery grants, I think they call the small ones $100,000, and you have to provide a 20% match. So that's like you have to have $20,000 to match the 100,000. But if you want to go for a bigger project, then you need a bigger match. But if you can be pulling together monies, either then we plan for it, or so those are the kinds of things.
The advantage of those grants while they're right here.
Yeah, while they're available. And so we don't know if they will go away, but that's why, depending on what the private philanthropy grant scene is, that might be easier to go for, but because they have fewer reporting requirements. But this state parks or the state park playground grant, I mean, there's a lot of cities that have done the planning and have done the implementation with that grant. So I think it's just a matter of getting your team together. You do need, like the city could not, I think another part of the problem is like the city can't just write your grant for you. We need you guys to like bring it to 90% if it's going to be submitted by the city, and then we can help you finish the last of it. And it's just a capacity deal.
Do you think the grant that Melissa just sent us that's due in April.
Yeah.
Do you think, and do you think it's possible to have it? Like, do you think, I guess I'll have to send that on to you guys. But I think that's the one that last year we just didn't have time for, but now we at least have
Well,
a
so
few months.
our prior liaison gave us the impression that there was money within the budget to hire grant writers. So all we had to do, this is what the city, so that the city grants. That's a big reason why, and I don't have any grant writers. I don't know if any of you do, but that's not like our specialty, right?
I'm going to take a stab at it, but I've got
Right.
Right.
Well,
And
I
so
think
that's the impression that we relationship with grant writers.
people that have,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
too, you know.
as a tangible, can we, as a commission, or maybe I'll put out as a motion that this has been talked about, that is the one that has the April deadline, that we spend energy, try to see if that's something. I'll forward that. Again, it was just today that came through, so I forward that on to you guys.
So,
But
sorry, this is turning into quite the ocean.
so the motion is to pursue this grant. There you go.
Okay.
There it is.
There, okay, I'd second it, but
So
Lottery grant.
With the Port Orford Early Learning Collaborative this week. Are you coming to that?
I'm planning on being there. Is it
I
open
would
to the
propose it
commission
there,
to
and
attend?
We can bring up the.
Okay.
See if our local grant writers would be able to pull that off within that time frame.
and there is a webinar for that grant, like, I don't know if it's on the 12th, it's next week. So it's
Oh,
kind of like,
yeah.
and if you don't make the webinar, it's recorded. You can go back and look at it, but it's time. The other thing is some of these agency grants, the staff is so helpful. They're really willing to help you. But I think the key decision, this is my point of discussion, before you get there, is to have that fundamental discussion of vision. To do a bigger plan and have a start with a plan and then go back and get the funding implemented. You have a just and or that you can pull together what you want now. And I think that's a fundamental question, because you will have more success with any grant proposal, I think, if you can articulate what you're really going to do. And that includes cost estimates. You know, like you can't just say, oh, we want $1,000. Sometimes you have to get actual estimates for what it's going to cost. And
A planning grant easier because you don't really have to have any of that figured out. You just have to have bids for architects and engineers that you're going to work with, or
Yeah.
consultants.
And
You just have to have a general plan.
you call them and ask them, how much would it cost us to hire you?
How much would this cost? We're looking at this type of project. And then I'm pretty sure with that state lottery grant, they give you like a minimum, like you have to, the planning grants are going to be 50 grand or whatever it is. I just the preschool, so.
I have
Okay.
I have a comment, but I want to hear from Jared. He had his hand up.
Yeah, just, sorry to barge in, just so everybody kind of understands, so what they're gonna be looking for is a cost analysis and an implementation plan. That's project management 101. So, sorry.
No, you're
Awesome.
So you want to do a cost analysis and a management plan and an implementation, so that you can basically give them a step-by-step of what each step of this implementation should cost and what this implementation will look like and what the timeline is. And where you plan on putting those funds into assisting you in getting that main goal being done. So that's how that project works, and that's how the goal writing goes.
for the plan.
For planning. So,
Hire.
so that's how that that would go initially. I'm going to tell you right now, writing English is not my strong suit. I'm very much a speaker, not a writer. I will be the first to tell you, that's why I work with computers, because they just autocorrect. So, but I am very good at articulating this kind of stuff. But I also know how it works. I manage large projects, not only for the school district, for all of our IT, but I've also managed large projects for hospitals and other things in IT in the past. I helped set up a telecom on the Warm Springs Indian Reservation here. So I know how a lot of this stuff works and how a lot of grants work. So I come with resources for that as well.
Perfect.
So-
You tell us what to do and we'll write it and then you guys.
So I think we do have a.
We got everybody in the room right now. This is what I was hoping for. Here it is.
Skills here, and I think really the main thing is I think parks. Don't want to step on your toes. I think we really need to do a workshop and work ideas. So outside of the normal meeting, we do that workshop, come up with the plan, what our vision is, and what we would like to see, and that should be a community invited workshop. Workshops work very similar to how this meeting is. It has to be recorded, it has to be public posting, all that fun stuff. And then from there, once we have our vision and the workshop done, then we can.
Oh, yeah.
We have to, after the workshop, by the sound of it, it would have to go to council anyway for them to approve that vision. So because we're working in constraints here, we give ourselves a timeline of our workshop, our council for council's approval. So there's that whole.
You got to work backwards, what you're saying from the start. And for that reason, since you guys don't have a really good plan, you could possibly aim for that April 1st deadline for a planning grant. Maybe make that. And or you could.
I think we really just need to see what that is entailed in that, first of all. But again, this is something that Tidy had discussed. I know former Mayor Pat Cox had encouraged, but that deadline, I mean, it was in a month last year. So
This is the pattern. Yeah.
yes, this is,
great grant.
but
We don't have enough time to do anything about it.
Well, it comes up every year though, so that's why you have to like in
You
the intervening
gotta-
time is
but-
when you get your ducks in a
so
row.
That's where that workshop, building your vision and getting that, what you guys want the park to be and how you want it to be is so important, because once that's approved by the city, then now we have the vision approved. You can say, oh, this grant would be great to improve the playground. This grant would be great to improve our horse arena. This grant would be great to improve the skate park. And we can go on a yearly basis, as you say. And that's really what we should be looking to do, is rotating those grants for about one a year if you can.
Well, here's another thing to say back at that, Jared. You guys, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Parks Master Plan. You know, we have a city parks master plan. I don't know if all the commissioners know. This is another question getting back to what are we supposed to, what's your role? What's our role? We have a parks master plan. The idea of that is, I believe the Parks Commission and the city are supposed to work towards the things plan. And sometimes when you go out for a grant, they want you to say, this is in the plan. And so that's just another little wrench. I have looked at the plan, but not lately, but I would encourage us all to look at what is in that plan.
And you can see what the city's master plan is, I guess. For the
Yep.
parks. And you would have to build that, or try and get the city to change that master plan to meet your vision.
And we might be able to amend that, but that might be part of what we'd have to do in this process. You guys, I'm going to like drop a bomb here while we're here, which I hate to do, but because I know you're going to be bummed about it, because I was bummed about it initially too, but it's also good. We are going to have to locate a new water tank at the edge of the park. Yes. We're going to have to, right up against the city holes, one of the current, what is it, 8? Yeah. We're going to have to put in that area a new
We have to have drinking water.
water tank, raw water tank. So I'm just saying that along the lines of planning, it could be an opportunity to say, hey, we have to do some reconfiguration in the park, and we want to figure out this thing's going to be there. What can we do to make it either less intrusive or to relocate where that hole could be, or anyway. So, and there's just no other place for it is the bummer of it. And I've
It's
thought,
outside of the baseball diamond?
yes, it's
Just on
kind
the
of,
backside?
Yeah,
It's right there.
It's already all marked out. They have the location.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Okay,
Well,
Huh.
the engineers are analyzing it right now.
okay.
And that
Okay.
was the place where it came in.
Got to have drinking water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense. So we have a motion, we have a second towards pursuing.
My comment was,
Yes.
we have a
Oh,
motion,
sorry.
we have a second. The motion is to pursue the April deadline for the state parks. And since
Yes.
that motion was made, we've heard a lot of really good testimony as to the process that would get us to a successful bid on that.
I don't know that we need a bid, like.
A successful application for us
Okay.
to file something that has legs and is likely to get approved. There's a lot of project management work. Thank you for bringing that up.
Right.
And is the April pursuit for a full funding grant what we want to be after, or is that planning grant we mentioned?
I'm just. Check out this that came that we've had others admonish that we pursue, and see if it's even, like even the next week, we see if it's something that's doable. How it would
Okay,
even
so
fit.
it's
Like,
exploring the
yes,
applicability
there we
maybe
go.
more than pursue.
That's that,
Okay.
yeah, pursue as in
Would you like-
explore, et cetera.
Can I clarify that in your motion?
Sure.
Or
So to bring it back to the original tangent of we're discussing the playground, right?
Yes,
We've kind of
yes.
gotten into this like bigger
Oh,
picture,
yeah,
and
we've gone
I feel
around.
like this is kind of one of the foundations of why it's really hard to get traction,
Yes.
right? Because there's so much to talk about, and there's so much going on that it's hard to. There is such a small pool of people that have been helping. The budget, design. There's a computer generated design for a playground already all picked out and budgeted out. We could still go with that track. It doesn't go with nature-based playgrounds, right? I know the discussion we're having is, are we changing the direction of the plan? Because you guys had a set plan
Right.
that was
That's-
getting ready to
yep.
be bid on.
Right.
Do we want to rewrite that whole thing and create a new plan? Because if you go with your original plan, you have everything you pretty much need to potentially meet this April deadline for a playground.
There you go.
we could reselect that plan. I do think that in the past, in the interim between having that plan developed and where we sit tonight,
Mm-hmm.
we did sort of change gears to say, let's pursue a nature-based model because we felt that the funding wasn't.
About the funding, yeah.
Right.
If we want to go back to what we do have architectural drawings. We do have an idea of what it costs. We have some of the scope. I can't speak to whether or not it fits the master plan off the back of my hand, but
I think it does.
we could certainly, we could dust off those plans and go after that.
Just saying there are
And
foundations
I
there.
love
It is true. Thank you for that
Yeah.
clarification.
I do appreciate the idea of a holistic look at the park and can we redo the park at large, make it better all around. But the playground, to my mind, is the weakest component in that park. And I think that it's something we've been focused on for a long time. And scope creep is just absolutely brutal on under-resourced projects. And if we could, I would be supportive of re-narrowing our scope to the playground, dusting off the old plans. And if we want to pursue the grant that way, I do think that has maybe better timeline constraints that we could meet.
Yeah, if we could just get done what we had put all that energy into. So,
You could look into both. You could pursue and apply for the planning grant. We could also talk to local philanthropists because the playground would be a much smaller project.
Okay.
If I remember,
Look into the feasibility, like when you sit down and look at.
playground, the one that's like the
Yeah,
ship.
what-
So it'd be to
estimate.
ask the
estimate.
company what the updated cost would
Right.
be.
Right.
And I think as I said, one of the problems or the issues was that I don't think there was site preparation and planning
Mhm.
as part of that.
Mhm.
And it was
Mhm.
somehow assumed that the city would do it, but
Mm.
the city couldn't do it, and
I
now,
talked to John about it. It was fencing, right? Fencing for deconstruction and equipment, and the fencing
Mhm.
was not included in the budgeting of the plan.
was there something
clearing of the
also
site.
about the surface, like what was going to be?
Drainage, maybe.
Yeah, there were some things that were about the actual site that had to be planned, that were missing from that plan.
Yeah.
That was a concern of his, that
Probably drainage.
It was the gravel, I think.
drainage, and was it gravel or was it some sort of rubber?
Chips.
What's that? It was going to be, yeah, that's right. Engineered wood fiber
There you go.
chips. That's. Um,
So I would think, like, if you take dust, other of site preparation, be contracting with a landscape architect, or just talk to the firm and say, hey, we need more support wraparound services to get this.
mhm.
What is that going to cost?
Also recognize. Years ago. What they used to get those? Because if I remember, rubber originally, it was super expensive.
Yeah.
And then the economy wouldn't even come to this part of the coast. So that's really what we came down to, is finding people who would come here. IT, anything.
I'm going to go back to that. We have a motion. We have a second. I believe it was amended that it will be to explore this.
Explore the applicability of the April State Parks Grant.
Explore the applicability of the April State Parks Grant.
Right.
All in favor of approving that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. I would love to send that grant, the state grant information on, and then and get that in y'all's hands as well. And that way we can try to see if this is something. Again, going back to, and since we're still on playground, Angie, is that open? Parks commissioners at large come to that meeting next week?
I think
Okay.
that's gonna be big.
Okay.
Our group is needing a new project, and so we would love to help out with this, and so.
That when and where is that again?
I was gonna ask you, I think it got changed, right, because we have class on Tuesday, so.
Yes, I believe it's Thursday at 4 p.m. at the library.
Yes, Thursday at 4 p.m., Thursday the 13th.
So if in that big room, is that where it meets, or the small room? Conference room. Okay, so open to commissioners to attend. I will bring, I'll forward that on. Thank you, Ann, for the input too.
Yeah.
And I hope it didn't come, my lead out was not with the intention of trying to, slam city, et cetera. That was not my desire. It was just to say, it's been rough. We want to move forward.
Yeah, I think,
And
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Been rough for everybody. Yeah.
And local government is just like us,
Ah.
right? So it's all us. And,
Right.
I actually went through a very similar situation. I was a volunteer working on some water. There's a lot of pushing rocks up hills to get things done, but I'm hoping we can make that different. So you guys are going to with partnering organizations, which is great, and turn some stones and like figure out, do some more research and soul searching about. And to get that information, then you're going to make the decision about whether it's going to be which to pursue. Is that just a fair estimation?
Yeah,
Whether we're
basically
revamping the plan.
I guess we can discuss that now, I guess, but since we're still on for what in the Playcraft, who made it out of Merlin, Oregon, made.
Same
Is
company.
that still what we want to pursue there? So I can call tomorrow, say, hey, given exactly what we were anticipating, what would that cost? In the meantime, I had a thought here, because it was actually Kathy Bowden that was the one that called me and emailed me photos, and she's passed now, but was very involved in the park. Strongly suggested the nature stuff. I think there's even a RAD program that my wife, when she was a kid, participated in. And shivers right now going, gosh, could we do something that was a nature thing that in some way, memorialized Kathy Bowden? I don't know. Throwing that out there. But she's a big player here in Port Orford, and is
She
missed.
totally gave me the pitch for that before she died, actually.
See?
Yeah, just because that was something. I worked on the RAD program with her, and she
Did you?
did a lot of when I first moved here. Yeah, and are you related to Alyssa Rush? Sister was in. I know when I was helping her. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of kids, and actually, even though they live here in a place that's like such a nature place, don't always get that connection. Anyway, I think it's a cool idea.
I'm just throwing it out there as, So, sorry.
I think the last motion was about the applicability of the grant. I think we could have a quick discussion about playground versus nature playground.
Okay.
I really like Jared's idea of workshopping it, though, and getting the parents in town to come and put a ticket in the bucket, and we can kind of have a discussion. I'd have loved an base playground. They just didn't make them in here. I'm still in favor of that idea. I think that there's a lot of benefit to that. It would be probably less to pursue, but we should probably. The attendance is remarkable tonight.
Yeah, we're breaking down the house.
I go with the playground, which is very modern and sleek and modern materials. Something a little more rustic and more nature-based, and see what people think.
I think that's a great idea.
And we could,
Do you guys, do you know Jared or anybody who has kids that play in the other playground? Would there be a benefit to having, would it be too similar to the other one, or would there be a benefit? Are they complementary, or?
So the right now, district after hours and on weekends and during the summer would leave their playground available. Technically, we're supposed. But while there's programs and everything else going on at the school, those gates usually remain locked. So, being the case, that program is not accessible, or that playground is not accessible at all times to the public like they would prefer. So having an alternative to that would be nice. But at the same time, if we had something that could, I guess the term would be complement that other one, to have the different options, that is also something that I find intriguing as well. I also liked the comment that Brian had made about maybe honoring Kathy with that, because she did a lot for this community. I grew up knowing Kathy, and when I came back, she gave me a big hug the first time I moved back here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe you remember me. I hardly worked with you. But, so I think, and if we could somehow make maybe the other one goes on that nature trail, and the nature trail that play structure. again, that's a workshop thing. I would like to
Yeah.
throw out some ideas.
Yeah.
I'm thinking big picture. I'd like to see Yara's idea of focusing, let's get the one idea, because whether it's
Yeah.
the new one or the plastic one or the holistic, I guess, or however you want to put it.
Yeah.
I like
Anything's going to be an upgrade at this point.
Anything. And I know our kids, the playground that is at the school. So if there's something similar, but also, I mean, yeah, they want anything is an improvement.
Child will play it, but then there's sometimes she's like, I want to go to Buffington because she's running around the trail. Mini golf.
Right? Just the hills. It's amazing. With the rock.
So you mean to tell me we bring in dirt and kids are going to be stoked? A bunch of dirt.
I bought her a bunch of my Christmas presents and she plays with the box.
All right.
There was this one, that Portland one, which actually Kathy showed, that was so cool. It had like this water feature, which I don't know how they did that, but
Right.
like kids were making little, and it doesn't really make sense here because you go down to the beach and make your sand castle. So, but it was kind of amazing. But anyway, I think that what you're saying is great. I like that idea and what you've said, Clark, of opening it up to the community and especially to parents and kids and seeing what they would like. And
Yeah.
that, I think that would also much stronger application, if you make the point of documenting, that we did this, we had X people attend. Although I don't know if kids would their input of what kind of playground would you like. Yeah, right. I know that is a cool.
Get an AI model to generate a picture, and you can have an artistic rendering kind of deal, and let people put a ticket and kids in the bucket they prefer, and it's pretty, low. It's not very sophisticated. It would give you what people are more interested in, and we can have a discussion, and everybody can have their 3 minutes, and finally have to make a decision. Not everybody's gonna be happy, but at least everybody will be heard.
Yeah, and then you have the process, and I mean, yeah.
I love the idea of like people that have put all time. I'm not just gonna. People that already put forth so much effort and commitment to our community.
Okay.
So what do we want to do about a workshop?
Well, we can.
We need to do it soon if
Yeah,
we're
we
trying
do.
to go after an April grant.
And
So
I was going to say, just to go back to your point, Jared, if we're talking about, city council approval or whatever, that's like March 20th or February 20th. If we needed to do a special meeting to help you guys, we could do that.
thank you.
Okay. Awesome.
It's a big offer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on.
So many meetings. I guess my question is mostly to the parents in the room, is how the get people involved, because we do have.
Oh, you mentioned a new playground,
It has to
and
be
you'll get
posted.
people there.
It has to
So
be posted.
Oh, I can get it out.
Okay. And then is that something, because it's a public meeting, is that something that needs to happen here in chambers for
here would
broadcast?
probably be the easiest.
Yes,
Yeah.
public workshop.
Yeah.
Has to be broadcast, recorded.
Yeah.
all the same
Mhm.
as-
Right.
So we have the venue, we have the sort of timeline,
You just have to schedule.
schedule the actual date, and that's something that I don't have visibility into, is when chambers are available for that.
We're going to have to ask Joseph
Okay.
for that.
We ask Joseph for some assistance scheduling a workshop within the next no later than 2 weeks.
Copy that. 2 to 3 weeks or 2. Oh, sorry. Yep.
City council meeting.
Okay. Okay.
And have a workshop to discuss the community's preferences on a playground.
I second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor of Clark's workshop in 2 weeks, please signify by saying aye.
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 But I want to verify that if you, well, you might not be able to get it on to that agenda in time to be a regular,
Understood.
but you could come and say, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Or somebody could come, you know.
I think
Okay.
I think either way, sooner is better than later.
Yes.
If we're
Yeah.
pursuing an April deadline, so at least even if we can't get on the regular agenda, and at least we will have.
Perfect. Thank
And
you.
the-
But time.
Something you already sense of, Angela, is another thing would be to just line out what are the grant possibilities. Lowe's one that came out. There's one that's T-Mobile. Sometimes the big corporate ones are really hard to get because they're national competitions, and we have these regional opportunities. I think here to raise the money for the library and for the community building.
Oh, yeah.
And I was at a meeting at the community building, and were you there when some gentleman
No.
from Bandon came over and said, "Oh, I hear you guys want a playground. I'll help with that." And he was like on the board of, maybe he was on the board of the Bandon Dunes Charitable Foundation, but it sounded like he had some other. So I think, you know, getting the vision, getting things lined up, we just have to be better organized and get the city side to help deal with it,
Implement, yeah.
implement.
Awesome.
But not that it's smooth. We're still gonna we're still going to have like the water leak where all is going to handle other grants.
I think, have we exhausted playground? And thank you all for coming to be here. So we'll be, did we get those questions from you, Jared?
Since I'm here, can I
Oh, here it
raise
is.
something
Okay.
about this Jared's questions, which I think are really good, which
Yeah.
is, you guys know that in addition, we have the problem of sudden oak death in that park. And so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
sort of another agency that's involved in doing some clearing and stuff. So you've been in the, I know, I'm sure you talked to Greg about that at some point. So that's kind of like another thing that's part of it. And I think, I just want to say from playground that this is another interesting and good thing that we want to figure out, but it's, so I don't know how. I do think we're going to be hard to do everything at once, as I was saying. I'm sure that like our administrator will say, I can't take on like 2 big projects, you know, so if it's going to be one.
She told me 1 grant a year.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
what we're.
I mean, frankly, if this one was it, hey, right on. But we'll see.
Yeah. And that's like 1 grant a year that they can administer. So that goes them carefully. But if you are working with a partner that can also be raising money, it's not just the city grant administration. It's also the thing of how much city staff time do you need to use? Or like, for example, when we had to do the tribal consultation, you know, so we had to go over and several or, you know, 100 things that have to happen for every grant. You wouldn't even believe it. So that's the thing we're, you know, not trying to dampen enthusiasm, but just be realistic about what can get done.
Good. There, for sure. That said, are we good on playground?
Oh, I'm good. Since we did sort of pause on questions, I wanted to take a shot at a couple of them while you're here. What is the process for setting up events such as tournaments, learn to plays, and shoot-arounds? This is interesting that the city doesn't. I heard that we don't want to do the fundraiser tournaments. That those can be done. You have a tournament with your friends, but because of complications with accepting monies on behalf of the city, the last couple have not been treated as fundraisers. So basically, it's a public course. You can go play on it whenever you want, is my impression. Learn to plays and shoot-arounds, you know, it's an open park. So I think you would organize it with the disc golf community and say, hey, everybody, we're meeting at this public park at this public time, and come bring your discs, and we're going to go do fun things.
I can take on 2. What process do we have to follow? Course maintenance, brush removal, weed eating, taking care of hanging on healthy branches, trees that are already starting to fall. What my understanding for years, it's been if there's something that's a problem and it can readily be taken care of, do it. Like barring bringing in excavators and all this kind of stuff, but it's small stuff. I know Tidy did a ton of
But
that's a problem and he took care of it.
operating commissioner
Right.
volunteering, and something that we don't have great clarity on, but I remember from Jessica's day as city administrator was that it needed to be a volunteer event
Mhm.
in order to give liability coverage to the
Yep.
volunteers.
And all safety requirements had to be met.
Yeah.
Gloves.
And that's why we do
glasses.
the Buffington cleanup in advance of 4th of July, and it's like a
Mhm.
city event that
Mhm.
people
Okay.
can come and volunteer at. Now, if you want to go, pick up sticks or what have you, like that's obviously fine. But if you're going to be out there with a chainsaw or a machete, like we probably need to talk about how to cover the liability of
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I'm
Mhm.
telling you right now, on 3, we have a tree that is splitting at the bottom and is leaning.
It creates its own liability problems.
Yeah, it's
Right.
already, we are, shouldn't be playing around or near it. It's
Yeah.
part of one of the main walking trails. So.
Mhm.
Is that in the main part of the park or is it in the
it's over
nature
by the
park?
gazebo.
Okay.
So we're by the gazebo.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
If it would have fallen on the other side of the tree, it would have hit the gazebo.
Yeah.
So we actually got lucky.
West side of the
It is
park.
down or it's
No,
still up?
It's leaning, it's up, it's split at the bottom. You can see where it's split. It's being held up by branches.
So like what happens
Hmm.
in that case? Do you guys report it to the city? I don't even know if they have the capacity to
In
do
the-
something like
In the
that.
past, we have hired arborist firms to help with that, reviewed bids from different arborists in the area, and they've done good work for us. They have the equipment, the training, the tools to do it safely. I'm just a guy with a chainsaw, and I could, I've never hurt myself. I want it to be the first time that I do on public property. So if it's something like that where it's more technical, I think we would want to use a professional or get a professional to help volunteer to that.
I believe that getting in touch with Melissa would be your first thing. Hey, this is, and frankly, now that a safety concern like that has been brought to our attention, we'll reach out to her to remedy that problem because that is a liability.
Oh, great. And especially since you're the eyes and ears out there. I mean, that's great, Jared, because that
Yeah.
is the kind of, people that's super helpful to report.
And we keep it healthy and everybody's safe. We played a glow round out there in December. It was super cool. So, like doing stuff like that. If we've got hazards like that, it takes away from the fun because then you're worried about
Life and limb. Yeah.
getting hurt.
We'll get some answer. Do we? I don't know
Hey,
if you
Clark,
want
to go back to number 1, can I ask you the thing about, I'm aware of that thing about how it is hard to charge money and have it be a
Yeah.
city thing. But like if a nonprofit organization wanted to do it, did you talk about that scenario? I don't
No.
know if that could be possible
No.
either.
It came up in relation to the October and December events that Tidy put on, and there was a question as to whether or not those were fundraisers and how much money did they generate. And it sounds like and so
It was like a toy drive. So
it was a toy drive for the kids, and I think, help me out, Rotary got the rest of the toys. So
something like that.
Melissa has some details. She's the one who indicated to me, hey, let's kind of figure
Got to
out.
be careful about those things.
Right, because
Yeah.
we don't want to have unregistered cash receipts for later. Fundraisers it's an important thing, but I don't know how to proceed with that as a tournament basis. Now you can go have a tournament for whatever reason you want. As far as it's a public park, you go get some friends and go play disc golf.
So we had talked about a couple of years ago, and this was when Ciaran, it was for the fruit fundraiser, and we had actually voted that yes, this is a parks fundraiser, and it was done as a parks fundraiser. But at that time, we had talked about similar to how the high school, when you do a fundraiser for a sporting event, you fill out the form, it gets approved by whatever groups are responsible, and then that way, and then it comes before the Parks Commission. And I don't know that we ever actually formalized that form, but it was a way to have
Accountability.
accountability towards a fundraiser for a specific event, or funds to go toward a specific thing, i.e. park. So that we can mention to Melissa, as in, can we create and have a flow of how that?
That's currently how they do it in North Bend. Like, we have Ferry Park open every year. I believe they go through their Parks Commission. They might have a 501, but massive. It takes all day. I mean, we're up there playing. I think we played 30, 36 holes or something like that.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's wild, but it's a blast. I mean, there's like 125 people out there playing. So now we had some good turnouts this year. I think our largest tournament was 75 this year. But the year before, for the Halloween Hub, like 8 people. And at 108 people, with the sponsors we had in the district, that was one thing that where's that money going? So that was one of the things that comes in with money accountability. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to join the Park Commission immediately, because I have to go out and start the portal for districts 501c3, then I will. So, I mean, I already have a lot of the stuff done and in place, and I have like I said, I have the resources and the people helping me. So,
and there could be collaborations if, like, it sounds like course part.
Our biggest
if there's
park.
Yeah.
If we want to do the back nine, we already have the baskets and everything for the back nine.
Yep.
They're already, the city already has them. So all we have to do for that is set up the work crew.
It's in the
That's like
concession
park cleanup
building.
and that kind of stuff. And we can get the people, we can go out, Rotary even reached out to me, he's like, hey, if you guys need help, let us know, here's the form.
Yeah, we literally just have to clear the brush, dig the holes, pour the cement, and it's done.
Yeah, so we already have all the stuff for that. So disc golf really just wants to help the park. Like, that's all we're trying to do.
Well, I just was going to say, like, if you're starting, because 501 care and feeding of all organizations is kind of, time consuming too.
Yeah.
So partnering is good.
Yeah, collaboration. That was my.
The other thing is
Yeah.
I don't think anybody realizes how big the disc golf community is on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's substantial. So we all work in abandoned parks as well, and they're like, oh, Port Orford just put in one, because I go up there for Saturday to play. And so their parks people are like, oh, hey, maybe we can work on something, maybe we can get something going, and I was like,
That's so great. I'm super psyched because I thought, oh, super enthusiastic. I'm so glad to know that you can help.
That's great.
one place where we can all go play, whether you're a kid or an adult.
Nice.
It's such a great thing.
Let's see.
For funding, I just got tonight. I do not see a line item for disc golf in that budget, and it sounds like the coffers had to be spent on more urgent matters. That's not to say.
Tidy said something about, I remember him saying maybe we could reach out to him specifically about that. So that is a question mark.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angie, for your time.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
My concern is if we keep the coffers to fix the water and everything, that's going to be never ending battle until it's completely redone.
Right.
Is there a way that the city can make a safe account for donations?
We do have that because we have that for the playground donations. That has been done.
One that's just for disc golf.
So is that the Parks Committee projects? Is that budget? That's only 4,000. That's
I don't know what that is. That was the one that caught my eye, but there's nothing in here labeled disc golf.
And it might be that we need to have that is just disc. Perhaps. I don't know. That'd be fun.
As long as it's going to the park. Like, if we raise money, if we do a process and procedure to help improve our park, that's what we're doing. This money that you're coming in and paying the money, we need to make sure that it goes into the park. and
Right.
it's underground and-
Yeah, no, that.
Not the
'cause
general
there-
Find
fund.
that out, then
Yeah.
we're collecting some money.
If you, did
Yeah.
you get one of these packets? You can see where there is the, where it is, playground, wait, playground equipment
It's the
upgrade.
very last item on the list.
But the thing part about this is the budget is what you are going to intend to spend money on. It's kind of jiggled and juggled and all that kind of. I know that when there was this rigmarole a couple years ago where then we moved the money out of this to put it into a bank account, but then
Mhm.
to keep it safe and separate. But
Mhm.
then we were told, well, you can't do that because that's not really legitimate. You need to have it just as within this accounting. And so I'm hoping as we move forward, we'll get a system
Yeah.
that is just clearer. And
Yeah,
when we go to our budgeting process this year,
Mhm.
you know, once you finalize what the project priority is going to be, if around and you need the match, then it's going to be like, we need $20,000 or we need $30,000 for the match. And we need here, you know, there's 85,000 in here. We still need that. You guys may need to come and advocate for that in the budget process, or whoever is your liaison at that time, if we can replace somebody on council as that position, you know. So
yeah, that 85,000 raise is what is that?
I don't know
So
what
that'll
that
be a
is.
good one for your financial person. What is the 85,000?
I'm going to be, we're in the process of looking very carefully and deeply. So
Okay.
we are having shortfalls that are going to be coming because we've been kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul over the years. And we've been have had some unexpected expenses, and so we're going to have to go through a little dip here until we can
Level out.
get
of it.
our new forward-thinking, capable team
Mhm.
kicking butt.
Okay.
I've got. I want to finish these real quick because we're really close. I think.
Okay,
Who do I need to work with to start the back nine? And do I need to have the holes mapped out and approved before brush removal starts? I think those are almost the same question because the answer to those are you would bring and propose. Yep, that looks like it's in alignment with what the park's trying to do, and then we would recommend you go present it to City Council with our recommendation. They would then sort of have the final say as the decision-making body, and then you would basically have your plans approved, and then you would be able to start looking at brush removal or other construction activities, I think.
That's exactly what Tidy did, by the way, on the front nine. We came a few renditions and then we tweaked and moved forward.
So you just use Google to ask Ariel and.
Yeah, and then we talked about, well, this is crossing this path, but it's not utilized that much, you know, we talked through those details, so.
You could even bring a decent hand-drawn map if you're a drawer, but like we just need you to get your idea down on paper. This is the brush that, you know, Jared's proposing clearing. This is where the shooting lanes would be. And
There you go. That'd be perfect.
That would allow us to sort of start the approval process. We're not the final decision body. We talked about how protected park funds are. That's sort of
Yeah,
a question mark. And then is Parks able to apply for grants, or is the city still?
got that answered.
We don't
on
have
grant.
the bandwidth to support a bunch of grants through the city. I will say that something that worked out really well on the front nine were local business sponsorships for holes. And that is something that is not grant related. There's really no administration. If you can get a private entity to cost you some money to help you install the hole to get their name on a plaque, that might be a really good way to quicker. Cool.
I have disc golf grant that's already ready. It's already given to us.
Oh,
So all I have to do is sign my name on paper and I can start working on stuff.
sounds great. Wow.
And
Like I said, the disc golf community here.
we
Cool.
are going to have to reroute that one number. So I don't know, that's going to be something that's going to have to be dealt with.
And you do have a bunch of brick for other T-pads. I mean, they're there. They're at the water treatment. There's a bunch of, they'd be more than excited to have them. So. Mhm.
Uh-oh.
Moving on to the next item.
Yeah, I don't think there's a
Okay.
motion here, but this has been good. Thank you
Guys,
for.
one question
Yeah.
I do have. I'm going to since we did that tribal consultation with the Coquel tribe, they're explained to us that anything that happens on public city land now, they kind of want to have,
Oh.
like if we're digging holes and all that kind of stuff, they want to know about it. So apparently they're intending to crack down on that a little bit more, I guess.
It's gonna slow things down.
I know.
Slow a lot of things
I know.
down.
And so I just,
So what's the consultation requirements? And what is their guidance for it?
well, the guidance is, goal 5 says you have to protect cultural resources, state law, and they are the tribal historic conservation officer in our office in our area, and we're supposed to inform them if we want to do things that would disturb the surface. And they would say, either depending on the nature of it and where it is, either okay and or we want to come out and be there building work.
Interesting.
And or we haven't talked about that area over there, or they may say, oh, this is a minor thing, no worries, or I don't know, because this is sort of a newer thing. But
So the good news is that Tidy put the stuff on,
Oh.
and that's okay, and brush above is all okay.
Yeah.
So
So
to
that
that
may-
end, I
that may
think,
be it
but-
if it's on top and stuff.
But good, thank you. I didn't know that about the community building, so that's good to know. But
Apparently, I don't know about like,
Because working on the reservation, I completely know about what you're talking about. I know
Yep.
there's cultural surveys.
Yep.
And there's other things that need to happen, especially if you're disturbing land for like putting in fiber optics or anything like that. So
yeah,
a lot of stuff we did ended up being wireless overhead point to points.
Yeah.
For certain things, but.
I don't know if,
Interesting that we're not on tribal land.
yeah, well,
And-
yeah,
But now their governance has expanded into city limits. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
I'm going to
On
keep marching on our
public
agenda
land.
here. I
Yeah,
apologize.
someone went-
So consent calendar, item 7. I don't even know what.
I don't think we have any.
I don't think we have one. Okay, moving on. Item 8, A, Commissioner Izumita, Commissioner reports. Do you have anything? Okay, Commissioner Kasera, anything beyond?
I do.
Okay.
Give me just a second here.
Okay.
This is for the Battle Rock Wayside Park, the bioswale that we use to help purify water that flows into the ocean there. It's by the visitor center. The bioswale has, over the years, built up with dirt and biomass, and it is now flowing backwards, and that is causing some flooding issues. Public Works was kind enough to go and clear the graded storm drain cover, but the fundamental issue still exists, which is that uphill of that there is a dam of grasses and dirt and rocks that needs to be regraded.
Okay.
I have heard that Main Street is interested in applying for a grant to help get that earth moved. It sounds like there could be some new tribal requirements, or perhaps not, because it's an existing project and it's a maintenance item that is causing issues with the visitors center when it rains heavily, as it does from time to time. The water is backing up instead of draining, and it is causing some low-level water contamination in the carpet, which is in turn damaging the building and producing mold under the carpet, which was already pretty rustic to begin with.
Okay.
So it's sort of a cascading issue where the drainage has problems, and it rains 90 inches a year, and Main Street would like to help us with that, as they have taken point. But they would like our I guess support to pursue that.
Point on pursuing the backup of that bioswale.
Thank you.
Second?
Second. Yep, you second.
Commissioner Izumita,
No.
I would just say, I think you could go down there and shovel that out. I actually was, well, I
Oh,
was involved in creating that bioswale, and I know
I was
I
going
know
to
the
ask how many
project
yards
intimately.
of soil are we talking here?
it's the kind of thing where I thought about your Bobcat, and I said if Brian had his Bobcat down here, he'd have this in 15 minutes.
Oh man,
But
I
what
gotta get
what
that
we
sucker
had to
running.
do to make that bioswale, we had to get some special permission with tribal consultation back then, but it's got under it a lot of geotechnical fabric,
Mm,
because
mhm.
the back side of it, could have been subject to, if like too much water got in and absorbed, it could have slumped, and we were trying to actually make sure that the behind the visitor that it goes down, and it was eroding basically up and under the visitor center. So we kind of tried to stabilize it even as we were making bioswale. If you did a real bioswale, it would have had to be way bigger. So it's kind of weird. Bioswales are designed to fill up with water, but because that one's not big enough, you kind of need to keep a channel so it moves fast enough
Right.
through it, but not too fast, so that we can.
Some contaminants.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's tricky. Having been involved in the construction, do you think that's the kind of thing where I could take a couple Saturday and a shovel and go dig down to the geotechnical fabric, or is this light grant work? I went and looked at it. To me, it looks like there's material plants. Bioswales, you'd want to retain the plants to the degree you can.
My guess, I haven't seen it lately, is that we could pull out some clumps of the rushes in the middle to help create a little bit more of a channel through it. If it's really backing up, that wouldn't be too hard. I think bioswale is a cool idea, because what basically happened over the past 10 years is that when we put it in, we didn't realize it would require endless weeding. And we weeded it for about 4 years, and then we just couldn't keep it going.
There's a lot to do around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything grows.
So that's, I think the question moving forward is, if you renovated it, it could look great, but who's going to keep it? Are we,
Maintenance plan.
I think short term, the issue that they're trying to flooding of the visitor center, because that building already has its own problems. Held in with it's just there are some.
Do you guys know that the visitor center is in your plan? It's in the parks master plan.
Oh,
So
yes,
that's maybe a next.
Hands full. So we have a motion to Main Street pursuing how to fix the bioswale. We have a second. Would we like to take a vote on that?
I think so. Of this having Main Street, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Commissioner Kasirik, anything else?
Yes. Give me just 1 second. The other thing I wanted to who help us through sheer goodwill maintain the dog park. And this has been kind of a perennial issue where the dog park gets overgrown, or it gets potholed, or it gets soiled by all the animals. And then good people go in and volunteer to do it. And we're grateful for their help. I've mowed it a couple of times. It gets to be about 8 inches tall. And I would just like to consider that we could issue a formal thank you to the good people of Port Orford who help us keep up with the difficult and ongoing endless maintenance of the park, the dog park, and our public spaces.
Perfect. That's a motion?
Yeah, there's a motion.
I'll second that motion. Motion.
How would you like to present said thank you?
I was thinking a letter, and then we could post it on good old Facebook, since it seems to be where the town runs, and maybe put a copy on City Hall for a couple of weeks. And maybe
Are you would great?
I can write a letter.
All right. Very good.
You could also possibly, if you do a workshop about the playground, if you could get it together, you could announce it there
Great.
to just
That's a great idea.
generate interest
Mhm.
and.
It's a great idea. Yeah.
I bet Melissa, I mean, potentially could, I don't know. It could probably have Porter for letterhead. I mean, more official. There we go.
So
Sounds great. So call to a vote. All who would like to see this letter curated, by saying aye.
I,
Okay. Motion passes
thank you.
unanimously.
That's all I had.
Thank you, Clark.
Commissioner Thompson, I'm just grateful that all parties that were here tonight were here. And thank you so much. That helped a ton. So
I'm super psyched to be here with you guys.
no. Oh, there was one concern. My father-in-law was over at the basement and heard a help, help. I thought, well, that's odd. Next thing, same thing, help, help. And again, somebody had walked into of the skate park, but went in to get something that was down there and could not get out. So maybe some kind of a box that has a rope. I don't know, but thankfully he was out there and he wasn't in that for too long. And I think on that note, just to remind that part of an area now current for intermediate skate is one of the things that we're very concerned about and have already taken steps to do. But just to remind the commission and that is something.
That skate park is like,
Oh, dude,
Gnarly.
super
it's so gnarly, so
I don't know
gnarly.
how we ended up with such an intense.
Yeah.
suppose was just like one of these old school hardcore skater groups, and they
It was the Tomoe.
yeah, they
You helped raise money for that? Wow.
they built
Yeah.
something that's just like
So yeah, they
they
had.
can't get within 10 feet of it. I'm like, I'm gonna die.
Oh, yeah, no, the kids want to go over there. I'm like, oh, heck no.
So I think that'll just remind of the skate and then just concern for safety.
Yeah.
Commissioner Frazier is not present. We'll move right along into 9A.
Can
Jen
I just,
Bailey, are you?
can I just say one commissioner comment? Because
Yes.
since I'm
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, that's right. As liaison, yes.
Liaison, I just did want to tell you guys this one little story since we were talking about Kathy tonight, Kathy Bowden, which is that Kathy Bowden had, I moved here a little bit after she moved here, so we were good friends, and she always wanted us someday to be on the Parks Commission together. And that was something she said, I will do it. So unfortunately, she was kind of bummed out that I ended up jumping onto city council before I did this. And I was like, well, you got to get on parks anyway. So as many of you know, she went through this really bad and awful illness, and she was super hoping she could get through it and come and join parks.
Oh.
So anyway, I just want to, since this is, I just want to recognize that, I don't know, say that I'm here with her in spirit and
Yeah.
being here together. So anyway.
I would move that we make Kathy Bowden a posthumous honorary member and put her on the
certainly, yes.
That is so cool.
Great idea. All in favor of this posthumous.
Aye.
Aye.
Say, and I.
Cool.
Yeah. And on
So-
that note,
This is Jen.
to be our liaison to the Arts Commission. Continue the legacy on.
Thank you. I don't know if I can handle
Yeah.
you guys, and so I'm psyched.
I like the idea of something that honor somehow be tied to some nature, even whether that's on the back nine and something cool, but that there's something in her name.
Cool idea. Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
Jen Bailey, are you still on the call?
I'm here. I'm here.
9A, Jubilees. Okay.
So,
Sorry. Thank you for being so patient. And you're up.
no, that's great. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, there's been a lot of background noise during this meeting.
Go ahead.
So, hopefully you can hear me. So this is actually a great segue because Anne, thank you so much for being at this meeting. And I know that you must be stretched so thin with being the mayor and everything, but if you could continue for now to be on the Parks Commission, that would be awesome. And parks are near and dear to my heart. But anyway, I'm here to report on the Jubilee because officially the Jubilee is reports through the Parks Commission to the City Council. So I wanted to give you guys an update. It's been a while. As just to refresh all of your memories, you know, the Jubilee is a separate 501c nonprofit that's responsible for basically the 4th of July and coordinating the activities, putting on the fireworks, the parade, the fundraising, some amount of publicity. And I know I've reported to you guys before that we are in a hard place right now with the Jubilee. We actually only had 3 board members for the last 3 years, pretty much putting on all of this. At this point, I am the only board member remaining. And I'm willing to stay on to figure out what's going on here and set up a better path. I'm sorry, it's been a while. I'm sorry I've been distracted with personal things for a bit, but I have a meeting set up for next week. I'm about to blast it on Facebook, a community meeting for the Jubilee to plan events for the 4th of July. So we have 3 key things that we really need to deal with. One is that we're going to need to find board members for the 501c. We need at least 3 people on the board to remain viable as a separate organization. And I have to say, listening earlier to the discussion about the disc golf and a potential nonprofit, you know, wow, that would be great. It's a little bit ironic that we've been in a tough position here with the Jubilee. I feel that, you know, as you guys know, we have so few volunteers who have time for city activities, and we're spread so thin already. So the Jubilee Board is responsible for, basically it boils down to putting on the fireworks, which means fundraising, which is not an issue for this year, but fundraising is key. Putting on the parade, which requires at least 10 volunteers. And it was touch and go last year, I have to tell you, with finding enough people to put out the traffic cones and the traffic barriers, to be flagging 101. We're closing down 101 for the parade. So we've got a permit with ODOT. So we've got to have 2 certified flaggers on 101. We've got 2 non-certified flaggers on Jackson Street. Anyway, long story short, we need 10 people on and off to help with the parade. And that's just the basics, just to get us through this year. And I'm sorry to sound doom and gloom. It's been really tough to find volunteers for the Jubilee. It's a very targeted effort and people are stretched really thin. I think we need to think outside the box for the future. I'm not sure how viable we even might be as a nonprofit. But first things first, there is going to be a community meeting, which I'm sorry, it may seem a little bit late, but I think we're okay on timing. A community meeting to make people aware and try to get people to sign up to help.
When and where is that meeting?
So that is going to be next Wednesday, February 12th at the Senior Center at 6 p.m. So I'm going to put that out on Facebook right after this meeting, and I'll put up all the posters at the usual spots around town.
Okay.
So, but I have been reaching out and trying to find people. And again, people are stretched very thin. And the 4th of July is really important to people. But I
Yeah.
think that we need to rethink how we've been doing this. So,
Okay.
but I need to get through the community meeting first.
Copy.
So,
Well, thank you. And, even as in the last time that it was at the senior meeting, just how valuable the Jubilee is to Port Orford and the tremendous amount of work that it is every year that goes into it. So I hope, I'm going to try to be there, but I certainly hope you get what you need to keep the nonprofit going. Clark.
Considering that Jen has come to us a couple of times and she's reporting to the city via Parks, I would like to propose that in the future we move her up on the agenda so that she's not sitting through 2 hours of meeting to give us her report.
Copy. Yeah.
so Clark, hey, I sit through these meetings regardless.
Oh,
I
okay.
care about parks.
Okay.
So
Aw.
that's great. I do think that the Jubilee needs to be a regular part of the agenda going forward.
Hmm.
But don't worry where I fall on the agenda. I'm here regardless.
Okay.
And since you are, if you want to pick up an application for the Parks Commission, let me shamelessly remind everybody to that effect. Anything else for you, Jen?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I just want to thank
Thank you for your patience.
Jen so much too for all your work on Jubilee.
Did you hear that, Jen?
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anne. Right back at you.
Hmm.
So thanks.
Okay, that concludes item 9. Moving on to 10, which is none. 11 is citizens' considerations. Anybody want to step out of their
Would new
role?
business include
We got
the application?
new business.
Okay. So that is 10A, which is a application by Carol Courier for the Parks Commission. I know Carol, active with the Pickleball Club, is regularly out there and has put a lot of time into helping to maintain the pickleball courts, etc. I have not. Oh, she has come in the past few years to. I've seen her here once or twice.
So I know we have a 5-person body. 7? How? What's
7
the
is the total.
7
1 is the liaison. 6 is our actual board.
Right. So we have
2
three
spots
here.
open right now.
2 spots open. Did Kate Samsel resign?
She did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was all formalized a few months ago.
Considering the fact that we barely made quorum tonight, I would like to move to approve Carol's application to join the Parks Commission and recommend it to City Council for review.
Would anybody like to say? Also, I mean, unless you really want to take the ball and do the second, I'd be happy to second that.
I've seconded multiple motions.
Okay, I'll second that motion. So, any discussion?
More the merrier.
She lives right here in the community. She's active. All in favor of approving Carol Courier's application to the Parks Commission, and again, it will go on to city for final approval. But all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that takes care of new business. Thank you for that reminder. 11A, citizens' considerations. Anybody want to step outside of the role and speak as a citizen?
Solely, this is your shot, bud. You want to say something?
Want to say something to the commission?
Maybe next time.
Oh, right. And if anybody wants to remain in their role as a commissioner and speak, now is your time. Barring nothing said, or considering nothing said, we're moving on to item 12, future meeting, Thursday, March 6, 2025, here and online, 6 p.m. With that, this meeting at 7:54 p.m., this meeting is adjourned.
Very good.
Do you have a key?